Morning. Morning. Bear with me. Stages and I don't get along. I have to lose that's why I have to have the pocket mic because I can't stand still. So I'll be bouncing around. I promise I'll stay up here. Perfect. So privileged to be here. I've been stoked about this every time I heard about it, I get the opportunity to come here. The only time I've ever been in Utah was when the wheels came down and the wheels went back up again. So I felt really privileged to be here. It's such a beautiful area. You can't have a bad view out of your room at the Marriott with the beautiful scenery that you have here. Do you believe I may have seen a coyote in the parking lot this morning? So I decided to take Uber here instead of walking from the hotel. You just never know because I'm from Ohio. And Ohio was pretty boring there when it comes to animals that might tear you up. We do have coyotes, but they usually leave us alone. Anyway, what a great introduction. And I didn't even pay her to do that. I got to tell you though, immediately when I got here and had no idea where I was and if I was in the right place, all the folks with this state council treated me like I was a friend. And that was very impressive to me. Never ceases to amaze me the people that you pick to be at the front table to give the first impression is always the smilers and the people that are more than willing to help you out. Even have that in the industry when you walk in and well, not always. But for the most part, you got that big smile that's representing the company there. Opportunity to talk to a few people here today. So without further ado, let me get started with why you're here this morning. I started telling my story in the early 2000s when I got involved in safety. And I thought, well, eventually this is going to lose its relevance because people are going to finally figure out that unprotected trenches are not a good idea. How many know that's not true? We killed nearly, now the numbers aren't exactly right yet. Some of them say 35, some say 39. Hey, let's just look at it responsibly. It's too many, right? And why? Everybody's scratching their heads and wondering why. What I want to share with you today about that trench collapse story is that there are some things that we probably need to start focusing on. And this is something that I found out early in my career when it came to trenching. So 2016 was another really bad year, and OSHA started doing the big drive on that. We had safety stand downs about trenching, whatever it might be. And we started getting those numbers down, but then they started creeping back up again. Here's a perfect example that I picked up these. This was a guy very similar to what happened to me. It was in Ohio in June, 33 years old, died in a trench collapse. Now, let me ask you a very important question. How many here think that that was the first experience he's ever had with the trench? I see a bunch of hands. No. As a matter of fact, when we went into more detail, when OSHA did more inspection, they realized that same day, a portion of that trench had fallen in and he escaped. And a month prior to that, he was involved on a site where another trench collapsed and walked away from it. So, is it still relevant? You betcha. I am happy to be here. I said that earlier. But I'm happy to be anywhere because if you look at the statistics for 3 out of the 5 years there, it's usually not a rescue. It's usually a recovery. And there are multiple things that happened to me on that day on June 6, 1983 that should have killed me. And I'm here today. I can't see any other reason for me to be alive other than for my benefit, being able to be with my family for quite a few more years. And I believe people need to know how important it is to recognize that we are not the only ones that pay a price when these kind of things happen. So, here's what I talked about earlier. 2016, ugly. Everybody freaked out. Everybody got on their toes. Got the injury rates down. 2019, 2020 started going up again. 2022 was a horrendous year. Like I said, more than 30 people did not go home at the end of the day. Now, here's what perplexes me, and here's what perplexes everybody. How can we have so much technology today to keep people from getting killed in a trench collapse? With all the training that we've got today, why is this still happening? I believe I have part of that answer. I'll be sharing that with you a little bit later on. That's me. Randy did such a great job. I don't need to go through any of this, and I don't anyway. Because I'll tell you the honest truth. My boss made me put this PowerPoint this in my PowerPoint presentation because it's supposed to impress people. So I'm going to give you 2 seconds. Okay, that's it. How many show hands are impressed? That's shocking. Usually I only have 1 or 2 people in the room that raise their hand. Hey, I gotta be honest. I am extremely proud of almost 4 decades in the activity business. In Central Ohio, you can look around Columbus, Ohio, and surrounding suburbs. I have part in a huge percentage of the growth as far as construction is concerned. So, over 3 years, first of all, that already proves that I'm old. Number 2, I started in 1976. Show of hands, how many weren't even born yet? Look around the room. You know what that tells me? What I just shared with you. I'm a very old man. So who wants to take a guess how long my safety orientation was in 1976? How long? Because we didn't have a formal safety training or safety orientation. We didn't even have skill training. You know what your skill training was? Watch for about 3 weeks. Now you're not. That was pretty much it. So what I learned was from my superiors sharing stories with what they had been through or what they had seen. And it would make the hair on the back of the neck stand. That's supposed to give you a healthy fear of the risk involved in your job. What were the stories? Trenching, right? So as a matter of fact, I had the privilege of working my very first job as in the construction business with 2 guys who had been married and walked away with no issues. So here's how my day started. Very first day on the job. Well, let's start with Friday. Friday, I went to a friend of the family. I wanted to be an operator since I was 10 years old. My dad had a game plan. He made me work every break that I had from school. He made me work in the summertime with him. And he made it tough on me, as tough as he possibly could. Why? Because he thought I would learn the lesson that he didn't learn. That if I don't get a college education, I'm going to be doing this work for the rest of my life. He did a really good job because I hate concrete work. And I hate masonry work because that's what he did for him. But he made a terrible mistake when I was 10. He brought a road yard back over. He set it up in the backyard where I could hit it. He told me to dig a hole. Folks, that was it. And here's some suggestions to everybody. If you want to be successful, keep your desires low. You won't get disappointed. So I'm going to be an operator. Why? Not just because of that. It was because I am 4th generation in my family being in some type of construction. My great-grandfather came from Italy and Lake Pine, Columbus, Ohio. So it was inevitable for me to be an operator. So right out of high school, my dad's got college money saved up for me. And he says, "You ready to go?" And I said, "No." "Why not?" "Well, I don't want to go to college." I didn't tell him this because I wanted to get out from under his thumb, because you want to have straight A's or you got a trauma. And I'm just going to do that for another 4 or 5 years, for God's sake. I was already anxious about it anyway. So he says, "Well, what are you going to do?" I said, "I'm going to be an operator." And I said, "Good luck." So I went naturally to a friend of the family, another Paizo. You know, my name's Joe Tantarelli. Oh, by the way, happy back St. Patrick's Day. I am Irish. Sort of. On my dad's side of the family, all the time. On my mom's side of the family, I am a European mother. My mom's got Irish, she's got German. You throw a couple German along with an Italian, Marion. Anyway, so I went to a friend of the family. I went to Jimmy. I said, "Jimmy, I'm on the job. This is way my business. I'm going to be an operator." Of course. He said, "Come in Monday. I'm going to make you an operator." "How many are impressed again?" "Say, you want to really think I'm special?" "Yeah." Anyway, I get in Monday morning, and I thought it was impressive to be an operator on day 1, too, until I handed me some equipment I was going to operate. And I know what it was? A razorback shovel. He said, young man, until you figure out how to use this right, you'll never be good on a piece of equipment. That was true, because what I learned as a grade man on a case crew taught me how to be a better operator when I got the opportunity. So that lasted about 10 months. And then I got to be bumped up to the regular medical job, and I did that for about another 10 months. And then I started in actually as the operator on the basic crew, which is what I wanted in the job. So since we didn't have normal safety training, it was basically the school of hard knocks. I didn't have to prove that I graduated from that school with honors, stars, A's, K's, things like that. Later in my career, I was a project, I worked my way up to a general manager of a company that I retired. And I went to another company, started out as a pipe supervisor for 13 pipe crews. And then I became a project manager for that company. And then one morning I walked in and the boss was over at me and he says, hey, we had a meeting last night. We decided to make you safety and production training specialist for the company. I was not qualified for that job. I did do some training in my life, but I said, why did you pick me? And he said, when we hired you to supervise those crews, we immediately recognized that the injury rates on those crews started going down. And we went in and we noticed when the jobs weren't going well, we went out to see if there was anything we could do about it. And we recognized that you didn't do what most people do. When it was doing badly, we would start cutting corners. I refused to do that. He said, we want everybody in the company to have the same mindset. Oh, okay. He pumped me up to make me take the job, right? So first of all, I had to change my vocabulary. If you've ever been out on a construction site to get your point across, you use a 4-letter word in almost every sentence. I had to stop using that word. My wife was so thankful for that because I used it so much on the job that it would slip out without me even knowing it at the house. So I can't do that anymore. So some of the places I've spoken. When I got involved in safety, I wanted to take it to the next level. Matter of fact, everything that I've ever done, my wife says it's my best training, my worst training. You put your head down and you charge like a bull. That's great until you go past the ability to do it safely. So there I was. What I found out is no matter how much training I did, I mean, I could walk up to any person that worked at that company and say, okay, run it by me, and they knew exactly what I meant. 4 feet deep or ladder, 5 feet deep or sloping or short, type A, B, and C soil, what type of slope or what type of soil. They could recite the OSHA red book when they came to trenching. Problem was, I go out of the job, and they would still be digging graves instead of trenches. That drove me nuts. So I went to our safety director. I said, Mark, I don't know what to do. And he said, well, Joe, you just walked over the brick wall. We walked in.